the Pellegrini red card is one situation, and obviously that all relates to a non-stoppage in play, Christian Pulisic trying to play on. I think Pulisic is within his right to play on to the whistle. I understand that we can get into squabbles about sportsmanship and what he did or didn't know about the play behind them, but at the end, if it's a head injury, it is the referee's responsibility to stop the play, not the players. So I think he's within his rights, and I think that Pellegrini needs to keep his cool a bit better there. The two red cards after that are harder to judge. Marisic, we have no idea what he said, and in the end, Marisic, if he said something awful, then that's a red card offence. And Italian referees are quite stringent on back chat in general. I think if you compare them to Premier League referees, they do put up with much less. And we've seen everything from sarcastic claps getting a straight red card before now. So
yes,
don't talk back is good advice. The Guendouzi one is the one that I think is the most borderline, because he's being tugged and he's just retaliating a little bit. But I think other than that, the first two,
and he's an Arsenal legend, Nicky, lest we forget.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the other two, I'm maybe not as outraged. But I think the overall handling of the game was awful, and it was completely sort of one of those feelings of you've shown your cards too much and now you've lost control. But I think the big decisions, I don't know if I'm as outraged as some people are.
I just feel like when it came to Guendouzi and Pulisic actually ended up being sort of the star of the show. He only had to sort of deflect some of the questions that were asked of him in the post-match conference as to whether or not Pulisic was portraying unsportsmanlike behaviour. Did he do anything wrong? Aren't you supposed to play to the whistle? Or do you think he understood what Pellegrini was doing and just went for it anyway because it's also his right, and thought, what's going to happen? But between Guendouzi, was Pulisic in the eye of the storm, not knowing, blissfully ignorant of everything that was happening, or quite cunning in how he managed it?
Cunning has quite negative connotations, doesn't it? I think it's sort of, the idea that you're being snide. I think he did a good job in dribbling away from Luca Pellegrini, and then that's a clear second yellow card. That's really naive defending. And as Nicky said, you can't decide that your teammate has a head injury, so you're going to stop playing. If you're really concerned, just kick the ball into touch. He's a yard away from the touchline. So that would have been very simple to resolve, and that would have kept it 11 against 11. The Marisic one, we don't know whether he, often actually it's bizarre. Marisic has been in the league for many years now, but often you can actually fall more foul of the officials if you swear in your native tongue because they don't know what you're saying and they just interpret. A bit like Jude Bellingham, I think he said, "It's a goal for F's sake," and then
I love the accent.
well, if you've got it, flaunt it.
Do you remember in Serie A as well? Ademola Lookman got booked for pointing the look man gesture because they thought that was something like.
Yes, that's so true.
I like that. So we don't know what Marisic said. As for the other one, I mean, it's rare, isn't it, that you see a player who's involved in two separate sending off offences, one for being fouled and the other for doing the fouling. I can understand why Guendouzi was annoyed, because when someone is persistently hacking at you or pulling your shirt as he was there, and Lazio already losing the game, they're chasing the game, they're already a couple of players down. I can understand why he then lashes out and tries to push a Pulisic. To me, that should have been a yellow card for each player. But I think credit to Pulisic. I never thought we'd be comparing him to Armando Izzo, but some opponents just get under your skin. And the way we saw Izzo got Di Maria sent off last season and Luka Jovic this season, whether it was Pulisic's intention to get Guendouzi sent off, I don't think so. With Pellegrini, certainly would have been, but that's part of the game. When you know your opponent is on a yellow card, we saw that with Kvaratskhelia against Cambiaso this weekend. When a player is booked and you're going up against them, you tend to take them on more frequently because you think, well, if I go past them, they either have to avoid making a challenge, in which case I get away from them, or if they do make a tackle and they get it wrong, they could be sent off. So I don't have a problem with Pulisic's conduct whatsoever.
Did you think that Castellanos deserved a penalty after Manian's foul earlier on? Or do you agree with the referee when he waved play on?
I don't know what a penalty is and isn't anymore, I'm afraid. No, honestly,
Neither do I.
I feel like, and it's quite a bit of it's quite difficult. It's becoming quite difficult now. This is a slightly self-indulgent professional moment. But as a commentator, there's rarely a game goes by in Serie A where there's not a penalty to commentate on. And you don't even know how to frame it anymore, how to set it up, because you just end up repeating the same thing over and over again. You can't express surprise because it's a player who's shooting unopposed from 12 yards away and there's a goalkeeper and the penalty taker is the favourite. So it's not like you can say, Bandini! You know, it just doesn't work. Like, sorry for your ears there. I realise that I have rendered you deaf in the past with me shouting unexpectedly. But, you know, so then you have to do it another way. You have to say, Rizuki to give Serie A Chronicles the lead. You know, I don't know why this has become a commentary tutorial. I apologise. What I'm saying is there are too many penalties and I'm sick of penalties because they're no longer a rare currency in the game and it's no longer exciting. It used to be exciting. I remember we used to go and watch Southampton play. If you got a penalty, it was almost as much fun as a goal because there's the whole extended emotions of it. You know, I realise this is a massive tangent from what was a yes/no question as to whether it should have been a penalty. But, you know, there's that whole... I love the way the emotions carry on for a penalty. First of all, there's a player going into the box, then he gets fouled, then there's that pause. Is the ref going to give it? Yes, they're going to give it. Now you have all this sort of drawn out, okay.
VAR moment.
All that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's something very special about penalties, and I'm worried that they're being ruined a little bit by the frequency with which they're being awarded. So I'll let Nikki handle whether or not Castellanos should have had a penalty or not.
Oh, I don't know.